Foreign Minister Javad Zarif, who has extensive experience on the world stage. And I started by asking the foreign minister why Iran is determined to keep its extensive nuclear capacity if indeed it claims it doesn't want a nuclear bomb.
Well, actually, I think what we have said should give confidence to people that we're not looking for nuclear weapons. We have said that our entire nuclear energy program can fit in a very clear and well-defined picture. That is, we want to produce fuel for our own nuclear reactor, nuclear power reactor. And we have a contract that provides us fuel for that reactor, but that contract expires in 7-8 years.
But re-upping that is not a problem, as the Americans have told you, right?
Well, actually, it's more complicated than you think. The United States built a reactor for us in the 1950s. And for the past 20 years, we've been searching all over the world for fuel for that reactor. And the United States has not only not provided the fuel itself, but has prevented others from providing fuel to Iran, to the point that a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, we had to announce that if you're not giving us 20% enriched fuel for the American-built reactor in Tehran, we have to produce it ourselves. They thought that we couldn't do it, but we did it, and now that reactor is running on Iranian fuel. We want to be able to work with the international community. We want to ensure that nobody is concerned about Iran's nuclear program.
So to that point, if that's what you want to do, it's important that our audience understands when we talk about centrifuges and nuclear power. Centrifuges are how you enrich uranium. Enriching uranium is the key component ultimately of making a nuclear weapon if it's done at a certain speed, and then it has to be weaponized. If you really want to say to the international community, we don't want a nuclear weapon, are you prepared to dismantle a good portion of the nuclear capacity, the number of centrifuges you now have?
I don't think it would do the job. As somebody who has worked all his life for non-proliferation, I can tell you that the best way to ensure that Iran will never break away, will never break out, is to allow an internationally monitored nuclear program. Because we have the technology, we have the know-how, we have the equipment. So the only way, realistically, to deal with this is to have a genuinely peaceful program that can be worked in transparent fashion without the need for imposing arbitrary restrictions.
But Minister, with respect, the international community is divided about a lot of things. They're actually not divided about one thing. They think Iran is up to no good and wants to build a nuclear weapon. Well, so why not say definitively that you will eliminate the bulk of your capacity, the bulk of your centrifuges, to say to the world, we really won't fight, we really won't build a weapon?
First of all, let's define international community. The day I went to the meeting of 5+1 or E3+3 in New York, they said we represent the international community, and I told them I'm just coming to you from chairing a meeting of 120 countries called the Non-Aligned Movement, where Iran has been the chairman and is the chairman, and they support us. They believe, actually 180 some members of the NPT believe, and they repeatedly said it in 1990 and in 2010, that countries' choices of their fuel cycle should be respected. So it's not the international community. It's a few countries who have concerns, and we are talking to them in order to address those concerns. But those concerns, there are international criteria in order to address those concerns. And we have given them opportunities to find resolutions, realistic resolutions, in order to address those concerns. One of those is to phase, as the leader pointed out, that we don't need this capacity tomorrow. We can produce this capacity over a length of time. And we are prepared to work with 5+1, with members of the 5+1, with others, in order to make sure that the confidence is created.
But you won't commit to a specific number of centrifuges. Another way of saying that is you won't commit to dismantling the bulk of your capacity.
No, I will commit to everything and anything that would provide credible assurances to the international community that Iran is not seeking nuclear weapons. Because we are not, we don't see any benefit in Iran developing a nuclear weapon
How could
capacity.
you not see a benefit? I mean, you're a Shia state surrounded by Sunni states who, many of whom are your enemies. You know full well the deterrent factor that a nuclear country like Pakistan can wield in the international community. You can have more of the influence regionally. Cynics would say, why wouldn't you want a nuclear weapon?
Actually, all these calculations are wrong. In fact, we need to go out of our way in order to convince our neighbors that we want to live in peace and tranquility with them, because the politics of geography, the fact that we're bigger, the fact that we're stronger, the fact that we're more populous, the fact that we have a better technology, the fact that our human resources is by far more developed than most of our neighbors. All of these provide us with inherent areas of strength that we don't need to augment with other capabilities.
But if that's the case,
that is why nobody considers our neighbors in Pakistan as a stronger force in the region than Iran, simply because they have nuclear weapons. In fact, I believe nuclear weapons reduces countries' influence in our region. It doesn't help anybody. The fact that everybody in the international community believes that mutual assured destruction, that is the way the United States, Russia, and others seek peace and security, through having the possibility of destroying each other 100 times over, is simply mad. And that is why I do not believe that you need to inculcate this mentality that nuclear weapons make anybody safe. Have they made Pakistan safe? Have they made Israel safe? Have they made the United States safe? Have they made Russia safe? All these countries are susceptible. 9/11 proved that nuclear weapons or no amount of military power makes you safe. So we need to live in a different paradigm, and that's what we are calling for.
Let me ask you about a couple of other areas, and then I'd like to return to this at the end. Let's talk about the war in Gaza. Iran has supported Hamas in the past. Rockets that are being fired into Israel, Israel believes were actually provided by Iran. How do you see the situation playing out?
Well, it is extremely regrettable that people are being killed. Hundreds of innocent men, women, and children have been slaughtered. Almost 100 people have been killed, over 500 have been wounded in Gaza, and the United States is not taking any action. We know that all the weapons that are used by Israel in order to attack civilians in Gaza have been provided by the United States, and we don't see any move by the United States to condemn that.
What about Hamas firing rockets into the country of Israel?
To use the Security Council in order to put an end to this. We call for an immediate end to all these activities.
You condemn Hamas?
We do not condemn people who are defending themselves. We believe that actions that are putting civilians in jeopardy in Gaza, that have placed restrictions on civilians to get access to medicine, to food, have tried to starve the civilians in Gaza, need to be vehemently condemned by the international community. The United States and the rest of the members of the Security Council have a moral and legal responsibility to put an end to this, and we regret the fact that they haven't taken any action in order to address this.